I can think of no crueler irony than that you should destroy this young woman, whose only crime is that she's too human.
Jean-Luc, sometimes I think the only reason I come here is to listen to these wonderful speeches of yours.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are Star Trek veterans, and Dory is a rookie Trekkie, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. Today we're discussing the episode True Q, original air date October 24th, 1992. And as always, we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay, so... Oh, God. Okay. I just have to say, I started this episode writing so neatly, and then it just crashed and burned so quickly. Okay. Anyways. Okay. So we've arrived at Starbase 112 and are loading relief supplies destined for Tagra 4, an ecologically devastated planet in the Argolis cluster.
Yes, they're a planet that is a very, very obvious... allegory for pollution on Earth.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. They have also taken on a quote-unquote a rather unusual passenger. No.
An honor
like,
student.
they don't know this. Yeah. So we meet I should mention. We do not learn what this person's first name is until a good chunk into this episode.
Yep.
So I referred to her as Roger in my notes until we learned her full name is Amanda Rogers. She is a medical intern. She literally looks like if Tinkerbell was a human person.
Yeah.
She's actually very adorable.
Yeah.
Yes, she's also extremely 1992.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so I guess this is very on brand. We'll refer to her basically exclusively as Roger because that's what I wrote in my notes. You gotta give me the name at the beginning. You can't make me wait for it because then it gives me time to come up to use a different name for something. Okay. So, Roger studied Enterprise schematics on the way to the ship. She has 3 dogs, and she wishes they could... Oh my god, okay, so Riker... Wow, I have jumped. Riker brings her to her new, her quarters, and she loves dogs. She has 3 dogs. She wishes they could be there. And, then Riker leaves, and she turns around, and she goes, "Oh no," in which I thought something terrible had happened. But actually, all my dreams, honestly, Roger is I was like, get out of my head. She so many times, she does stuff in this episode that I'm like, what the fuck? How did she know? This is my dream. Yeah, this was number 1. There's one other thing she does, which we will get to, and it should be obvious to anyone who listens what the other dream is, okay? Okay, so we see 10 puppies, and they're the cutest little babies. Oh, they're so roly-poly and cute and adorable, and I just wanted to scream and die. And then she's makes them disappear, and then I wrote, "Is this Q powers?" Yes.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yep, it is.
You are
Yeah.
correct, it is.
Yeah. So Dr. C has Roger doing these scans, testing tricorders, scanning herself. Roger got into the academy, and Dr. C's like, "Oh, I got a son there," and she doesn't get to see him as much as she would like, and I'm like, it's okay. I hope Wes is having a nice time at school.
I mean, okay, this character is Wesley. Basically, she's
Wesley was Tinkerbell.
She's the
Yeah.
I can do anything wonderkind, and
Listen,
I'll
I'll
get
allow
into
it.
why
This
that is
actress-
later. But yeah.
You know what? I will allow it because this actress I found was like pretty likable. So like, I don't like, this is not the best character on the world, but I will allow it.
That's fair.
And then, she asks Dr. C if she has any other kids, and I just wrote, I think Wes is enough. So Roger asks if Wes knew his dad. Wes apparently was 5 when Jack Crusher died, and Roger said she didn't know her parents. And I thought that like for a second I was like, oh, is this going to be like an episode where she's just like a big old liar, and she just, because she said earlier in the episode she's like, oh yeah, my parents this, and I'm like, is she just lying? No, she's adopted. She's talking about she didn't know her biological parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought this was going completely different way than it went. Okay. Oh, Dr. C. Oh, so Roger's adopted parents are in Starfleet. They're marine biologists. That's cool.
It's like what every kid dreamed of being in like 1989 for some reason.
Well, also, doesn't Geordie's parents also are something to do with, or one of his parents something to do with animals, I think, right?
Maybe. I don't honestly remember because Geordie's parents come up like once in the series.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I have it written down somewhere. Okay, so they gotta bring stuff down into the shuttle to the planet because it's so polluted that like they can't, there's too much ionization, so they can't transport down, so they gotta bring them in the shuttle.
And they
Roger, sorry, go ahead.
I just want to mention that they take a shot at people, like, I don't know if this was a technology like in the early 90s, but like basically take a shot at people doing like carbon scrubbers and stuff. It's like, why don't they just invest in like, you know, cleaner energy sources instead of trying to like, you know, scrub like the dirty ones?
I mean,
like,
it was
in a very, very ham-fisted, like...
Yeah, extremely heavy-handed.
Yeah.
So Roger spots Riker, and she gazes at him just in time for like a container to just fall from above and almost hit him, and she just like whooshes the container out of the way so it doesn't hit him. She saves his life.
Yeah, he almost got warped.
Just got wharfed.
Oh, jeez, that's harsh.
I know. I'm sorry. That was so bad.
No, that was good. Oh, got warped. Oh, man. Is that what we're going to name the fucking episode? I wanted to point out, actually, about that scene. I was watching it again, and like I knew what was going to happen, but I didn't remember the like falling and then the thing getting whooshed out of the way effect actually being very convincing. Like it looked exactly like what it was supposed to look
whoosh.
like.
Yeah. It just,
yeah.
like,
whereas
like,
I mean,
kind of
what they would
way to
actually
describe
have had to do probably is tug it with like an invisible string or something like that. So I don't know how many takes they did, but I mean, they picked the right one.
Yeah.
All right, so Geordi gives Roger a tour of engineering, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, emergency, flames are coming out of the dilithium chamber. Temperature in the chamber has increased by 47%. Injector couplings are frozen. I don't know what any of that means, but we're looking at a core breach. Oh no, very dramatic close-ups as the situation gets worse. Oh no, Geordi tells everyone to evacuate. The chamber is about to blow. Oh my gosh, explosion. Roger puts her hands out, saves the day. The temperature in the reaction core has gone back to normal. Cut to team meeting. I love a team meeting. So they're like, oh, Roger appears to be human, but like that was crazy that she able to save them like that. So then Picard says, Commander, have you been able to determine the cause of the warp breach? And then Geordi says, no, sir, everything was normal. And then suddenly it's like the laws of physics went right out the window. And then Q pops in and goes, and why shouldn't they? They're so inconvenient. And I wrote, yay, Q. That sentiment has changed. This has not been a yay, Q episode. This has been a Q take 50 steps back episode.
Yeah, Q is not great in this episode,
is
and I think this reveal where he suddenly appears here is kind of indicative of it, because like the whole scene is played for comedy, kind of, and it's weird because the episode tonally can't decide whether he's supposed to be funny or not.
Yeah. This was definitely not my favorite Q episode. So,
It's okay. It's nobody's favorite Q episode, including the people who wrote it.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah. So basically they're like, oh, Q, that was you in the core, whatever. And so I wrote, Q fucked around in engineering and found out something he suspected to be true. Okay, so like he thinks Amanda is a Q. So her biological parents were Qs and they decided to basically cosplay as humans. We did like kind of learn what actually happened later-ish, so we'll get to that when we get to that. But this is just my impression when I wrote this note, that they were cosplaying as humans, decided to, settle down, have a kid. And then I just wrote, do I want to know the biology of Qs? I don't know.
They go into it in Voyager, and it's an offense to Star Trek lore.
Oh God. Okay.
Like it's not sexy at all. It's the opposite of that. It's just stupid.
Yeah, that tracks. So Q says if Roger doesn't learn to control her power, she could destroy herself and the galaxy. Oh no. Q wants to take her to the continuum, and he also wants to speak to Picard privately, so Q flashes, and then there's another flash of Picard's seat, and I legit thought Q was going to appear in Picard's lap. Like, I obviously that wasn't going to happen, but that was my first thought when second flash at Picard. But it was actually Picard disappearing. So they flash to the ready room, Picard's ready room. And Picard thinks that Roger should decide what she wants to do. But Picard does agree to introduce them. So, okay, Picard says, very well, I will introduce you, but Kate does a big sigh. We cannot argue like this in front of her. We must at least appear to be ... And then Q grabs Picard on it like as an aside hug and goes, pals. Picard goes, civil. Then Q goes, I knew I could count on you, Jean-Luc. Oh boy. Okay, so then Picard asks Data to look into Roger's bio parents, their death. Because Picard has some suspicions and he needs them to be inquired into. Roger tells Dr. C her powers started 6 months ago. She wishes for things, they appear. And then Q just busts in, grabs Roger, her arm awkwardly, and inspecting her. It's fucking weird. And yeah, it's very fucking
he
weird.
Grabs her face and
yeah,
gets
there's a
real
lot.
up
Q,
close.
Q very much does not like the sense of personal space is gone in this episode for Q. He's personal space, I don't know her.
I don't think he's ever known her, to be honest. But it's a bit extra.
Yeah, it's just a lot. Also, I think it's because this girl is so young that it's just Q, please take a step back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Or 12 step backs, whatever. So he's she's got potential because she was able to stop the explosion, etc. But Roger is oh, hard pass. And then she throws him against the wall. And I was like, yay, good for you. Oh, wow. I read my note for a second and I very much misread what I wrote. It's this line says that, I thought, okay, the word is investment, but I thought that I wrote vest meat.
Oh,
I was I don't even know what that means. I'll go through more quotes later, but anyways, okay. So Roger is worried that this Q stuff will not allow her to go to the academy and do all the stuff she wants to accomplish. Dr. C is oh, you can still do all that. You just got to deal with Q for a bit. And Roger's okay, fine, but I don't want any special treatment. So okay, so then we cut to Q walking in a hall, and then Netflix says Shadow starts talking to Q, and I thought this episode was gonna go into. Then I did not know what was going on here, because I thought it was something that Q was I don't know, was there for other reasons, and like that mysterious like shadow voice was like something unrelated to the Q's, and it was like a different bad guy or some shit. I don't know. It was nothing that comes from it. I guess it's the Q's, the continuum.
So that scene was actually a late addition. Like, it was added to the script like 2 days into shooting.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's
well,
weird.
the point of it is because Michael Piller looked at the episode and he had decided, well, okay, there's a bit of a problem with this script. It's playing Q for comedy again, and that's not really the approach that we want to go to with him. We've been maturing our relationship with him, so we need to make this a bit more sinister somehow. And so that's why the episode has such bad problems with tonality, because of this bizarre addition that was made towards that was made partway into shooting.
Yeah. So yeah, the shadow things are like, oh, we might not have to terminate Roger. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, Q, this is shady even for Q.
Yep.
Yeah, so he goes to see Roger, but instead of like, he was gonna bust in, but then he's like, hey, maybe I ring the bell instead. So Roger wants to know more about the Q, but in very classic TNG move, she's like, but tell me about it, don't show me about it. Like, TNG loves to do the exact opposite of the show don't tell thing.
Yes.
They're like, please verbally explain everything, don't show us anything. Yeah. But Q just says they're omnipotent. They can basically do whatever the fuck. But Roger wants to know more about what her bio parents look like, and then Q's like, just do it, just remember. As if like, yeah, babies totes remember what their parents look like when they were babies.
Don't let your dreams be memes. Come on.
Yeah,
it's fine. And he's really up in her personal space, and he's like, invoke a memory, go back to when she was an infant and remember her parents. Like, yeah, that's totally fine. So then we see a I guess like a hologram of like Roger's parents, and her parents appear to be Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman and Steve Gutenberg.
I was gonna say they look like the 80s.
Yeah, I think my resemblance people track. Then so okay, Roger. Okay, now back with Dr. C. Roger's doing an experiment. Dr. C is like, you seem distracted. Yeah, Dr. C. Of course she's distracted. And Roger's like, I wish for like, oh, I can wish for anything to appear. Dr. C, what would you wish for if, like, you could, what would you do? Dr. C's like, oh, yeah, I want to, like, heal people who are hopelessly ill. Okay, way to word it weird, but okay. Roger then is like, yeah, but would you bring your husband back? And Dr. C's like, I don't fucking know. Like, yeah. I'd have to be in that real scenario. And I have mixed feelings about what should they bring Jack Crusher back, because on one hand, we got my shipping of like Picard and Dr. C, but on the other hand, if I remember correctly, Jack Crusher was hot. So like, no, we don't like. Listen, let Jack Crusher rest in peace. Yeah, it's fine. I don't think we'd bring him back. Let him. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't bring him back until they resurrect him in the movies.
Yeah,
we're not the what? No,
we're not the AMPTP or whatever the fuck it is. We're not gonna use AI to bring Jack Crusher back.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, that's pretty fucked. Okay. So now Q is like, oh, another lesson. But Roger is like, sorry, busy with experiment. And then Q stands very closely behind her. And he's like, or we could do the lesson while we do the experiment. And it'll go so much faster.
I need to understand why the director told John Delancey to be the ear whisperer in this episode.
Yeah. It's so creepy.
Yeah, I do not like it at all. And it's uncomfortable to watch, knowing that she's supposed to be like 18. And even the actress is not that old here. I think she was like 22.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just is really creepy. And like up until this episode, Q wasn't really creepy to me. He was like a weirdo, but like that's fine.
Oh, don't worry. The creepiness goes away after this episode. It's just this is a one-off.
Because, like, I don't mind Q getting a bit more serious. That's fine. But, like, this just felt creepy. And not in, like, a, whoa! This isn't a, ooh.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a message from Tagra 4. From Orn Lot, the engineer. They're having issues with their reactor. Picard's like, send us your design specifications and we'll see what we can do. Data discovers that Roger's parents died in Topeka, Kansas. Bummer.
Yeah. Of all the places to...
Yeah, seriously. Of all the places for it to be a localized tornado, like, could you be a little less on the nose?
Yeah. Like, hello, Wizard of Oz is calling. Okay, so their home was destroyed.
Wait, is Q the Wicked Witch of the West?
Oh my god.
I mean...
What a world, what a world. Yeah. Is Dr. C Glenda then? Oh my god, well, Data... Is he the Tin Man?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
100%. He's like a combo of the Tin Man and the Scarecrow. No, never mind, because the Scarecrow
No,
wanted
I
a
feel like
brain.
he's not Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't... Oh god.
No.
Are you trying to cast the rest of...
Yes,
of
yeah, I
Wizard of
am.
Oz?
But I'm like, it's actually really hard. You know what?
Yeah.
I'll come back to this maybe.
The lion is Barkley.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Cowardly Lion.
Yes. Oh, Bridge.
But there's no one really that's like...
Scarecrow-esque.
Yeah.
No.
Because
like-
everyone's pretty smart.
Yep.
I mean...
And they're all
yeah.
confident in themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess... No,
I
because...
can't think of anyone who would be Scarecrow.
Yeah. Because
don't
I
know.
was like,
Okay.
maybe Riker, but he's not dumb.
Yeah.
But, like, he... you might be able to put him in, like, the himbo category, but...
It's hard.
Yeah.
I say we circle back to
Yeah.
this after. Because this deserves a
Great.
proper discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rogers, the home was destroyed by a very centralized just tornado, very aimed, focused tornado. And the weather modification net did not work, which also would like to circle back to that later. I have questions. So I then wrote, they were murdered and used the tornado as a cover. The perfect crime, unless the tornado had a gun. Lol. Because, I didn't think about the fact that, like, the tornado, like, I just thought the tornado was being used to cover the fact that they were murdered. It didn't occur to me that the tornado would be the murder weapon. I just thought they killed them and then they're just like, oh, throw the tornado and then just find their bodies and call it a day. But then I was like, that'd be really funny if they were like, okay, it's not funny if someone gets shot, but like they shoot someone and then they're like, oh, tornado cause of death, but there's like gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
It's like, But obviously that's not what happened. I very much did not understand the situation. It was legit death by tornado.
Yeah.
Okay, so Riker goes to see Dr. C, but it's just Roger and Q. And he's like, okay, cool, bye. But Roger's like, listen, you can like hang out and wait for her if you want. Just like hang out with us. And Riker gives this like big smile that also I'd be like, how dare you, Riker? And he's like, okay, thanks, but I'm gonna go to the shuttle bay, bye. And then Q immediately goes, you're attracted to him. And Roger's like, I am not. And then Q's like, I think you are. How repulsive. How do you stand that hair all over his face? I think we all stand for Riker's hair all over his face.
Yes.
I'm like, what kind of question is this?
Yeah.
Q?
He's definitely like, not only is the beard just an improvement in general for Riker, but like it's like a legendary beard. Like men aspire to have a Riker beard.
Yes.
As they should. No, I'm kidding. No, to each their own. Okay, so Dr. C comes to the lab. Experiment is basically fucking useless because they were
Because they did the shortcut.
trying to study the rate of mitosis, but they like fucked around and like, surprise, none of this matters because you didn't actually wait to see the rate of mitosis. So Kay thinks, and so Dr. C's pretty pissed, and she's like arguing with Q, and then he turns her into a dog for a moment, and then Roger turns her back into a human, and like Dr. C made a very cute dog, but that was fucking wild.
Yeah.
That just in the middle of a conversation, he's just like, no. It just turns her into a full-out dog.
Yeah, and she doesn't seem to notice she was turned into a dog either.
Oh, and here's the thing.
Yeah, that was
I kind of
strange.
hope nobody tells her because, man, she would be pissed.
Yeah.
If, like, honestly, I feel like she'd find a way to, like, come up behind Q when he wasn't expecting and slap him.
Yeah. Listen.
And I would be on board.
Q is effectively a god. She would find a way to murder him.
Yes. I believe in Dr. C
Yeah.
as a divine power.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so Data finds the tornado that killed Roger's parents. It was very compact and like,
seeks
concentrated. Powerful, and it was 3 times like it was the power of a tornado 3 times its size. Q wants Roger to work on teleportation, so they play the most ridiculous game of hide and seek I've ever seen. So Q just like his hide and seeking is he turns into a barrel. And she's like in this in one of the shuttle bays, and it's like surprise, and he's like, ah. And now then they go to engineering, and he's inside the fucking chamber, and it's like, ah. And then the next one, then they are on top of the Enterprise in fucking space.
Yeah.
So that's fucking wild. Yeah. So then Q brings her back to her quarters, and then he just fucking ear whispers again. He's right up in her ear, just right. It's nauseating. And then yeah, she's like, oh, sorry, can't like do any more lessons right now. I'm going out with Dr. C and Troy. So they go to 10 forward. Riker comes over to say hello, and they're like, Roger's like, okay, come, join us or whatever. Join us. But Riker's like, oh, sorry, I've got other plans. And just at like the next table, there's a lady with a wild hairdo. Riker goes over to that table, does his Riker maneuver, which I loved, and tried to do on my chair. That is okay. I'm not tall, so I don't know if that's a factor, or you just need long legs, or I don't think my chair is too tall. I wonder if it's just because I have short legs. I legit tried to do it, and
Failed.
Maybe you need a specific kind of chair. I'm dying to find a chair where I can try this on, properly. That's a goal now.
Probably one of those like low back chairs or a stool or something.
Well, a stool I feel like a stool defeats the purpose. There's no back. That's, you know what? This is going to be a 2024 resolution.
Try to do the Riker maneuver.
Yeah, successfully do the Riker maneuver. Okay, so Roger is not happy about Riker's date. And I wrote, Q is definitely rubbing off on her because she is staring at him and it's getting awkward. The awkwardness is what I think is rubbing off from Q. And then they disappear out of the 10 forward and they reappear in my dreams.
That's pretty great.
So we get it. Truly, I was like about to scream. I was like, this is my dream. Sort of. Okay, so we cut to Riker and Roger in Regency era outfits near a fucking what do they call it? Gazebo. And like, this is not a look I ever really thought about for Riker. This might be my favorite look for Riker. Riker is Mr. Darcy. How dare TNG? How dare you show this to me and only allow it for like a couple minutes? I get this. Well, I'll tell you right now, this is my favorite outfit of this season. We will revisit this outfit in the season 6 retrospective. this will stick with me for the rest of my life. I loved it.
It seems as though you and Rogers are kindred spirits.
I know. That's the thing. That's why she had the dogs appear. I'm like, that's my dream. And then she shows up with Riker in Regency era shit. Like, I don't want to actually go to Regency era shit. I would not have done well there.
But like
for a
Bridgerton
multitude of reasons.
Regency.
But yeah, fake Regency. Yeah. But I was like, oh my God. Roger's dress is interesting. Okay, that's not important. Okay. So they're in the Regency era. Love this look. Okay. I also wrote Riker's going to be such a good dad one day. Because he's legit been kidnapped. And he's like very calm. And he's basically like they're-they'ring her in kind of a sort of way. He's like basically like, Roger, you can't kidnap people. This is not like for your fantasies. It's not real. Like we can't do this. It's not cool. Yeah. He's like, it's not cool. It's not real. Like maybe we shouldn't. He's like, you're a nice young lady, but like not my vibe. And she's like, but what about if I was your vibe? And I just screamed, no. Then Riker's like, oh, Amanda, you're so beautiful. And I did mention her name is actually Amanda. Yeah. Her last name is Rogers. Anyways, but I read the quote as it is in the episode. He's like, oh, Amanda, you're so beautiful. And he's like kissing at the back of her neck. And I'm like, how dare all of this? But then Roger, thankfully, this girl is like moderately self-aware, thankfully. And she like snaps out of it and she's like, oh yeah, this is not real. This does not feel cool anymore. Yeah. So she then sends Riker back to 10 forward. And I hope so badly that she sent him back in the Regency era outfit, because that would be absolutely like what I would have paid to just see Riker appear in the middle of 10 forward in a Regency era outfit and everyone being like, what the fuck? And him just like owning it and being like, I got a cool hat.
Dude, what if he showed up to his date like that and suddenly she was like 10 times more impressed?
Listen, I would die. If he showed up, like, honestly, yes, I would be in pieces. Yeah. Okay. Okay, anyways. So, okay, Picard then... Oh, God, I could talk about this scene forever, but we have to move on. Okay. Picard asks Hugh about the continuum, like, reaction to Roger's parents staying on Earth, and Hugh's like, yeah, it wasn't good. Was not good. And Picard has been Sherlock Holmings, in sort of like, he's like, oh yeah, super weird that like a tornado randomly appeared only on Roger's house with like no warning, no storm front, nothing, just a funnel materializing right above her house, says witnesses. And it appeared, destroyed, and disappeared. And Picard's like, murder? And Q's like, and? Yeah. And, oh, okay. And then Q says, with unlimited power comes responsibility. And so then I wrote, TNG walked so Spider-Man could run. Yeah.
So Spider-Man could swing? Come on.
Yeah. So then, okay, Picard meets with Dr. C and Troy to discuss, like, Roger's situation, because, like, if she's not 100% Q will have to kill her. If, like, both her... But I didn't understand this, and I was like, okay, but, like, if both her parents were Q, then, like, genetically, is she not just 100% Q? Like, I don't understand what they mean by not 100% Q. I get what they mean now, but, like... The way they kind of were talking about it, I was like, I don't get it. How could she not be 100% Q?
I mean, the implication is that they don't know if Q can breed.
Yeah. I think maybe because they made themselves human, like maybe their child like is human and didn't inherit.
Well, by the end of the episode, I think it means because we'll get to this part actually when we get to the end of the episode, because I'll explain what I think it actually meant by 100%, because what I assumed here is different than what I now think to be 100%. Okay, so Picard then tells Roger the truth about everything, and her parents were like murdered by the Q, and Yeah, Amanda, Roger's like not doing great about this. Oh, but Roger's also in a lime blue long sleeve and a green jumper, and it's a cute look. Listen, she really leaned into Tinkerbell. Okay, so, oh, Picard gets so mad at Q, and I loved it. Oh, so Picard, oh my God. This is such a speech. You know what? I'll save the speech for later. It's long. But Picard really rails on him, and he's like, who the fuck do you think you are to be like the judge, the jury, the executioner for this girl situation? Like, what the fuck? It's a great speech. I love when Picard gets fired up and like passionate about something and he like speeches. I love it.
I like that even Q likes the speech.
Yes, yeah. And so the Q then after this whole speech, Q's like, oh, okay, well, we decided we're not going to like harm her. And her options are basically go with Q to the continuum and like be a Q or
Give up
be
her.
human. Yeah, and just like no more Q powers. So, and I think that is what I think they meant by 100% Q is like she's either Q or she's human. Like she's either like committing to being a Q or she's committing to being a human with no powers. And I think that's what they meant by 100% Q.
It really is an interesting parallel to when they did the same thing with Riker back in early TNG.
Yeah.
Because like they handle this one, I wouldn't say they handle it like really well, but they handle it better than that episode did.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like she definitely like, you know, goes a little overboard with her powers, but in a more realistic way. Not
Yes.
like
Yeah.
because they made Riker like a total fucking D-bag.
Yes.
Like after and also like also they like vilified him for things that were not like bad either.
Yeah.
Like for
This-
not letting a little girl die.
I mean, this episode doesn't
Oh my
really
God, I forgot
know.
about that.
This episode doesn't really know what kind of feelings it's trying to evoke with its own story, and that's
Yeah.
super frustrating because
Yeah.
the story is, as I mentioned earlier, tonally it doesn't really like it's inconsistent. And I think you get that the most whenever there's supposed to be a juxtaposition between whether she wants to keep being a human and doing like Starfleet stuff and
Yeah.
how the crew are treating the fact that this woman just found out that she is quite literally a god. And they're like, yeah, but like the question is, do you want to do that or do you want to sit there and study soil samples? Like, I mean, they're both equally important things. And it's like, oh, for God, like you guys are not treating this with the seriousness of what the situation is calling for. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to blame the person who wrote the script because that is a good deal their fault, or the fact that nobody really seemed all that passionate about this idea to begin with. For the record, this story was submitted as a spec script that they bought from a 17-year-old.
Yeah, they should not have done that.
No, they
That
definitely
makes a lot of
shouldn't have.
sense.
They changed a lot from the original story. The original story that he wrote involved Wesley Crusher, romance, and teen pregnancy.
Oh no.
Yes,
Okay,
so
here's
very,
the thing.
very different approach.
Okay. Here, can we put a pin in that real quick? Where I'm so close to being done the recap. We're so
Sure, go for it.
Okay. So Roger's like, listen, this is cool. I'm confident that I can not do powers. And apparently her parents could not stop doing their powers, and I guess that's why they were killed. Okay, so we get emergency message from Riker. He's on the planet. Reactor's not stable. Oh no, Riker and Geordi are in danger. Just kidding. The reactor is now stabilized on its own. The ecosystem on Tigra 4 has been restored to its natural state. And Roger saved everything. Saved all of them, the planet. So much for resisting. I mean, she made the right choice in terms of like fucking saving everybody.
Yeah.
But she was also like, oh no, Riker's on the planet. You gotta fucking save Riker.
Yep.
Like, was she wrong? No, she was not wrong.
Yeah, because just to clarify, because like she still has her powers, she just like she has to commit to not using them.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
like they obviously tempted her really hard into using them.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, okay, so what I was like a previous scene, she's like, all I wanted to do since all this stuff happened is just be human again and just like go back to doing other stuff. And then right after she saves everyone, then she's like, yeah, JK, like she wants to be Q. She's leaving. She's got like a to-do list though. So like, sorry, Q, hold the phone. She's got stuff to do. Got to be patient. So Roger tells she would really like to see Dr. C again at some point. Dr. C's like, look, I'm here. You can kind of come over and visit whenever, I guess.
Yeah. You're Q.
Yeah,
you
so
can literally visit whenever you want.
Yeah. So like,
you can
good luck
visit
to
yesterday.
Roger.
Like,
yeah. I did write my last line that I wrote for this is, looks like Dr. C's gonna need a new intern.
Nice.
After all that, like she
Nice.
had an intern for like what, 2 days?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the
even do her
intern, the
job,
biggest
right?
thing that she was given to do, she fucked up.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow, Roger was not a good intern. But hopefully she'll be a good Q. So I wish
Yeah.
her all the best. Okay, Jeff, let's go back to the spec script where Leslie Crusher and teen pregnancy. What?
Well, I mean, that's all we really know about it. The original spec script included Wesley Crusher, it included romance, and it included teen pregnancy. There isn't any info
Teen
that I can
bankruptcy.
bankruptcy, yes. There isn't any actual like detail that I can find on that script. At least not in my rudimentary searching. It's just that's mentioned in the note or production notes about not production notes, but like behind the scenes notes about it.
Does Wesley Crusher have a pregnancy scare?
I mean, I hope so. This episode went through a couple of different ideas because they didn't do a Q episode in the previous season, and they really wanted to make up for that. So they had an idea for like a Q Olympics story that ended up getting shelved that they didn't use. They had another episode where Q created like a duplicate of every member of the crew and had them all like go up against each other, and
That would've been
stories
fun.
that.
I would have liked
but
that.
I don't think it would have
been
worked well with
interesting.
them trying to take Q more seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That
I think
would agree
that's
with
their mistake, is trying to take Q more seriously.
I mean, we'll see how that goes in the future of the series, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Like, they just wanted Q episodes to not always be comedy episodes, and I don't have a problem with that. They wanted Q to be a force, because he is a force. He is literal omnipotence. He's not just like Loki, the trickster god or whatever. So like I
But
get
that's
it.
definitely the vibe he gives off, and that's definitely the way John Delancey like takes it. Is that
Yeah,
he's,
but you
like,
could blame
low-key.
that on individual directors. And I mean, I
True.
would argue that there are plenty of episodes that Q appears in where he's not that. The very first episode is an excellent example of that, where he's not a joke in that episode. Like, he does things that are like comedic to the audience, but he is very clearly shown as a threat, and when he's willing to be threatening, he's very good at it. And in this episode, they try to include a little bit of that, but it just does not fit with the tone of everything else that they did.
Yeah. It also doesn't help that they there isn't really much of a story here.
There isn't, no. Like, it's about things happening to this girl.
Yeah.
She, I guess, has a character development, but she's a character that you only see for 45 minutes. And as Dory mentioned, you don't even hear what her name is until 10 minutes into the episode. So, like, this episode was not a great idea.
And even though, so, like, we discussed, like, earlier that, they did a better job of, like, how Amanda reacts to her powers than how Riker reacts to his powers.
Yes, definitely.
However, I feel like they explored the idea of suddenly being Q weirdly better in that Riker episode than in this
I'd agree
one.
with that.
Because
Well,
they
because
actually, like, took the time to, like, think about, like, the ethics and weight of, like, what that means.
Yeah, the problem in this episode with the way that they handle it is that rather than treating, like, the powers of Q with the, like, absolute ridiculous seriousness that it... Like, I don't mean, like, take it very, very seriously and, like, everything has to be solemn and dramatic. I mean, that is a huge, serious thing, and they're treating it as another plot point to joke about. And, like, she's taking it very casually. And like that just doesn't add up. And I get that means, or sorry, that kind of fits a little bit with how Picard is consistently trying to insist in Q episodes that like he doesn't want to refer to him as a god. He wants to be like, well, no, you are just another alien that happens to have powers far beyond this. But he quite literally acknowledges in this episode that he is as close to a god as can be.
Yeah.
Like he says those exact words that you are essentially a god.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, you may nearly be omnipotent, and I don't deny that your parlor tricks are very impressive, but morality, I don't see it. But yeah, that was wild. Like Q's like, yeah, I can do all these, I can make all these decisions because we're morally superior, and Picard's like, bitch, since when?
Yeah. No, you have more power, but that doesn't equal more morality.
Yeah.
I mean, I would argue that morality is indeed subjective, so there is that.
But more power doesn't equal more moral. Is my point.
No, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not saying that like morality is objective. Yeah, like what I was gonna say, Jeff, getting to the point you were making before about like how like the rest of the crew isn't really taking this that seriously. It definitely gives off more of a vibe of like hey, are you gonna go to college or stay and help your family run their business?
Yes.
You know,
oh my god.
Like those are the stakes rather than like you know, oh, you have the power of a god.
That tracks given where the story came from, but also like I said, like it's not like they took that script and immediately put it to screen. Like this was taken on by a staff writer. Admittedly, it was the staff writer's first actual assignment in the writing staff. So there is that. And I assume they tried to take it as seriously as they could, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great at all.
Yeah. It's also not the worst episode. I want to make that clear. It's like...
No, it's not.
Agreed.
Not. You're right.
Yeah. It's like whatever.
Yeah. And, like, quite admittedly, also, I mean, every writer on Star Trek has had their ups and their downs. Mm-hmm. The actual because he wrote the I think he wrote the teleplay for this, and that's what was his first time. Not the not the actual story, because like I said, that was a spec script that they bought. But the writer had written other stories that other people on the writing staff had turned into scripts for him. Mm-hmm. And like this guy is responsible for some good stuff in Star Trek. He was responsible for Iborg.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So like, he was also responsible for The Offspring. So like he has good writing chops. So there's a very good reason that he was there. But just didn't deliver on this one.
Yeah, and that's the thing is sometimes like turning like a good story, like translating that into like the nitty gritty of like an actual script is a different skill.
Yes.
Than just like
I agree.
having like a good like story and plot outline.
Yeah.
You know?
In the future, this guy is responsible for some pretty decent scripts, one of which is, I would say, like almost standout, like it's like just on the cusp of being like a standout episode. So like I'll give him credit for that.
I mean, that makes sense. If this is his first time doing it, then like obviously he's gonna like improve with like further attempts.
Exactly. Yes. And in the end, I think he ended up moving on to DS9 and did some decent stuff there too. So there we go.
Nice.
We love decent.
Okay, no, he did some pretty good stuff there. Like I don't mean like it's pretty good. I mean pretty good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll give him that.
Going back to like it felt like she had no like emotional reaction to this. Like I kind of half expected there should have been like a therapy scene with Troy, because also this means this girl is giving up on like all of her dreams, everything she's worked towards and now like gone. But also, here's another question. What the fuck did the Q do? Like, what is she gonna do? What is she gonna spend her time doing now?
Well,
just
as
popping
Q
around
said,
annoying people? Like, what do they
anything you
do?
want.
What does that? I don't
They
understand.
never really clarify.
Yeah.
In Star Trek's defense,
What is their
I
day
don't-
job?
In Star Trek's defense, I don't think they should have ever tried to clarify that, and I'm glad they didn't. They did do a couple of instances in Voyager, God rest its fucking soul, that kind of ruined the Q a little bit, but one thing that they never did is they never tried to explore what the fuck the Q actually do. And I'm glad they didn't, because that is something better left unsolved, and I think it's even better if it's left in the realm of it is beyond your comprehension simply because of how many things we're capable of.
Okay, I mean that makes sense, but I just like at the same time, like, what the fuck's she gonna do all day?
Pop around, annoying people.
Yeah.
Like that.
I just had to
only
bring it
get
back
me
to what
so
you said a
far.
minute ago. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like once you
So-
think about it, it's like, yeah, what do the Q do all day? I mean, they don't
'Cause,
really
like-
have days the same way we do. They just kind of
No, they
exist.
don't. Yeah, when do they sleep?
'Cause I feel like it's at some point that's gotta get boring.
Yeah,
Like, what-
that's
like-
why they go around fucking with people, because they're bored.
They tackle that in Voyager too.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I like
Badly,
to think
but yeah.
that like Roger, I don't know, she like just gets to like hang out with some puppies for a while,
Probably, yeah. She can also invent her own puppies.
Yeah.
and maybe Oh,
She can
Aw.
genetically engineer puppies.
Okay. Wait, we don't want to genetically engineer. The puppies are perfect. the
How
way
many
they are.
heads and tails do I want to give this puppy? I
No,
love toe beans.
one
Let's
each.
make an entire toe bean leg.
No, leave the puppies as they are. We don't
Each
need more
leg is a
breeds.
single massive toe bean.
Oh, God.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that. That's puppy monster. I don't like
the
that.
whole reason
Leave
toe
the puppies
beans are
alone.
cute is because they come in a little set of
They're
five.
so little. They're
Yeah.
just little feets. They're little feets. Yeah. Yeah. She can. I hope she just has a nice time here. Okay. Here. Maybe she can have like a holodeck situation. She can have her own like. I hope she gets to have like her own real Regency era romance thing that she wanted to have with Riker with someone else. Or she can, I guess, make up someone.
Yeah.
Is that that's amongst her powers? I don't know. Well, she's like seems like a nice girl, so like I hope that I
Maybe
hope
she'll become like
gets-
the caretaker of a planet or something.
Oh yeah,
Could be.
a Regency era planet.
Yeah.
Just puppies and Regency era costumes. That would be like some place I'd like to visit, but probably not live.
Yeah.
I'll visit. As if like that's an option. Wild.
All right. I think it's fair to move on to favorite moments and lines.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean puppies, Regency, Riker in the outfit,
Regency
big
Riker.
fan. Yep. Oh, Regency Riker. Okay. Yep. There were some good lines in this. I really enjoyed Picard's speech. Oh, okay. There's a part where he meets Picard introduces Q to Roger, and Q says but Roger's like, hard pass, throws Q against the wall, and then Q goes, the Continuum has a vested interest in this young woman, and Picard says, if you wish to protect that investment, I suggest that you approach her differently. And he says, she was being impetuous. She just has to start behaving like a Q. And Picard goes, if I'm not mistaken, she just did. And then Q just looks fucking shaken to his very core.
Yep.
Red for Phil.
Yes. I liked... I really liked Picard's speech to Q. Oh, I liked with unlimited power comes responsibility. Okay, but okay. This is Picard's Well, okay, I'm wondering if we should make the blurb Picard's speech. Although, but you know what? There is like some back and forth between Picard and Q. I wish I should have taken like the timestamp, but I didn't. Because now I'm like, oh God, to read all of this, nobody wants that. But I wrote it all down. But let me just see if there's like a particular part. Okay, I liked this. This little bit. Okay, so this is just the beginning of it. So Picard says, you've made yourself judge and jury, if necessary, executioner. By what right have you appointed yourself to this position? And then Q says, superior morality. And Picard says, oh yes, I recall how you used your superior morality when we first encountered you. You put us on trial for the crimes of humanity. And then Q says, the jury's still out on that, Picard. So yeah, then,
I
like,
know
there's more
why.
stuff.
I know why they said that. However, in the actual episode, they flat out said that humanity was exonerated. So, like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys can, the listeners can look up this speech. It's great. Picard gets passionate and he's angry, and yeah, it's great. Is there anything else I like in this? No. I think the actress who played what's her face? Roger was fine. I think she was like doing the best with what she had, and I like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed her. I think she was good.
Yeah. There's like, this episode is fine. I don't dislike it, but there's not much that's like stands out to me. I guess if I was to pick a moment, it would be like where Q is like, oh, we have to be pals, and he like grabs Picard by the shoulder,
Yeah.
into like a side hug. That's about it.
That's fair. I did enjoy that, specifically just I like the amount of screenshots that I was able to get from this episode. There's some really amusing ones.
Yeah.
Including one that's been a meme on the internet for a long time of Q winking for like literally like a frame. But I actually really liked Q's response to Picard, saying that one of his favorite things about him is getting to hear these wonderful speeches, and I'm just like,
Oh yeah.
you know what? Me too. Thank
Yeah.
you, Q, for saying what we wanted to say.
Yeah. That is really funny. All right. So now for predictions for the next episode. So, Dory, the next episode is called Rascals. And a transporter accident leaves the crew needing an adult.
No. No, they all turn into children. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, this is easy. Oh my god, Rascals. That is hilarious. Okay. They're going through some kind of, like, black hole or like, space disturbance, whatever. And just as the group is all being transported from like the planet to, they're like, oh, storm is coming. And so then they right as they're being transported up into the Enterprise, the storm interferes, and it's the storm time fuckery, and then they're all children. The bridge crew is children.
And then what do they do as children?
What don't they do as children? Alexandra will be like, Dad, play with me.
Okay, so if they're getting turned into children, okay, which crew members do you think get turned into children?
The whole bridge crew.
The whole bridge crew?
Yes.
Okay.
I can absolutely, okay. Or, oh my god, my dream, Picard's nightmare, is the entire bridge crew except for Picard turns into a child, and he's like, fuck.
Okay.
That's the dream. That's the fucking dream.
Okay, so are they like literal children, or are they
Yes.
or are they the adult version in a child's body?
Yes, they are themselves in a child's body.
Okay.
But they also have some like childlike things, like, because like they have the knowledge of like adult stuff, but I feel like they'll still like childish, behave as children.
All right.
So they'll be like, oh yes, I know who that is, I know what that is, and I know what it does, but also I'm bored, I want juice. I don't know what kids like. I don't know what kids want these days. Kids want juice? I don't know.
Nice. Alrighty. Well.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I just assume kids want juice because to me, like, children are sticky. So
yeah.
It's gotta come from somewhere. I'm just assuming it's juice.
You're probably not wrong. Well, if you'd like to see if Dory's correct, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Oh my god, sorry. It's the juice to sticky pipeline. Sorry. Okay. Goodbye.